More than 25 years ago, I saw our next guest for the first time, opposite Herb Cain's column, now defunct, in the San Francisco Chronicle, with his magnetic smile and handsome face looking out from an ad in Macy's. From male model to community icon, our next guest, Gregg Cassin. Welcome.
A very generous introduction.
So come on, you were one of, I remember, you were one of those guys that sold underwear and t-shirts for Macy's.
On Father's Day.
On Father's Day, but you were one of the more successful male models.
It was a very, very fun time, and there was about 4 people doing modeling, so it wasn't like a supermodel status. It was like the only guys. But one of the fun days was sitting at Cafe Flora and yapping with a friend of mine, and it's on a Sunday, and you know, you're out and you're having your coffee and yapping, and then all of a sudden you see some guy from across the thing, looks over, unfolds the Sunday newspaper and holds up this Father's Day underwear ad with these reading glasses on, and I'm like, it was kind of ridiculous.
But I mean, you know, you were professionally good looking, let's say that.
Thank you very much.
But also you made history, because you are someone who's been living with AIDS, HIV for a long time. I believe you were the first openly HIV positive male model in the country, certainly for Macy's. And it was a big deal when Macy's made a point of saying, psst, what's the big deal?
I was very, very lucky. I was in a documentary called Absolutely Positive in 1990. It came out. And I remember I did not think about the risks of being in this documentary. It was this beautiful documentary interviewing like maybe 12 different people that were positive. African-American woman, this straight couple, this young person, this young straight couple. It was a beautiful documentary, and in the middle of filming it, all of a sudden I remember thinking like, oh my God, you're in this career that they want you to be healthy and this and that, and
yeah, it's all about beauty. And
so I thought like, well, there's the end of my career, and people like Sal over at Studio 71 at Macy's, and people were incredibly supportive. All the people, all the different studios that shot for Macy's and shot for the Emporium, and there were a lot of Ford ads that were being shot, Toyota ads, and everybody was incredibly supportive, and my work got better, and that was a remarkable time. It was a remarkable time because I thought I was saying goodbye to a career.
Yeah, I mean, did you ever think you'd be alive in 2015?
Of course I didn't.
I mean, really, it sounds almost too flip to ask it now, but I mean, I know what those years were like. Did you really think, I'm not going to be here to see my next campaign?
Yeah. It was, as you know, it was an incredibly, I mean, it still is for many communities, but it was an incredibly dark time, and there were times when throughout the Castro, there were for rent signs I remember one time walking around the corner and walking from State Street up to 16th Street, and there was probably 7 different windows on the same block that had for rent signs in it.
Because the people had died from AIDS, and
people had died and people had fled because people were so afraid.
Now you took your status, your HIV positive status, living with AIDS, and you not only took it from the pages of the paper, but you took it onto the streets as activism, and you formed a charity. I believe it was called the Healing Circle.
Yeah.
And I think we have a wonderful picture from the 1990 Gay Pride Parade. Gay Pride. First time you were in the parade. What was that charity about, and what is it still doing?
Well, the Healing Circle was this group. We started it the first time in 1989, and it was at this devastating time when people were, it's
88, 89, 90 were about the darkest.
Exactly. And there was so much stigma, so much isolation. People were afraid. People weren't telling one another, weren't telling friends, weren't telling loved ones that they were positive. So I started a group where people could come together and just break that sense of isolation. It's the thing that I think that is the most natural thing in the world to do if we let ourselves just turn to one another. And so what we did was we created this group called the Healing Circle, where we joined for mutual support. We did stuff around stress reduction. We had a hug time, because there were guys that said that they had not been touched since they told a friend or their family that they were HIV positive. We would just turn on music and have hug time. We would do meditation and stress reduction stuff. We would go into small groups and share and tell our stories and cry on each other's shoulders. And then eventually we started planning the next memorial service and the next memorial service.
I mean, because there was a time, I remember the Bay Area Reporter, the paper for the gay community, there was a day when there was like a centerfold of nothing but obituaries. Yeah. So you told me before this interview started, and I've known you, I mean, just to be completely transparent, for 25 years. Right. I didn't know you used to want to be a priest. It sounds like you kind of turned that good Catholic boy into your own sort of priesthood.
That is very sweet of you to say that. And I have to say, my mom and dad came to the first year that we did the Healing Circle. They came to a Healing Circle and they sat in a room full of 120 guys packed into a yoga studio that were HIV positive, that were there, chaos lesions all over their faces and stuff. And they parents sat through the whole thing, and my mom came up to me at the end and she whispered in my ear, "I always knew you'd be a priest." It was like the biggest compliment that she's ever given me. And I just think it is an incredible honor to be of service when you're in the middle of something that is so painful and so difficult as an epidemic like we had, that it took everybody. Everybody had to ACT UP. I just went to all the meetings that we had, these 25-year reunions of ACT UP. They were amazing. It took every single one of us.
I mean, because here we are now. We're 30-some years into the epidemic. I mean, I asked you if you thought you'd still be alive, but knowing that you're still here, did you really think AIDS would still be here?
You know,
and what does it make you think when you walk the streets of the Castro and you see some young kids that either have never heard about safe sex or are just doing things that for you and me in 88, 89, and 90 we're like, oh, whoa, no, I'm not going there. I think it's completely natural that this is our thing that we walk through, and I think that I think we're doing great work with prevention. I think that people that are working with young people are doing great work with prevention. We need a lot more help with young gay men of color. There are incredible people on the front lines doing that work. But I don't hold, like there are some older guys that feel like they don't know what we went through, and I don't feel like that. I don't feel, I mean, we're kind of glad you didn't have to go through it.
It's not their job to know that.
Yeah. We've only got a few moments left, but I want to ask you, as someone who, I mean, you really have been in the thick of it. I mean, I think we all sometimes see a historic moment while it's happening, like, you know, this past few weeks when marriage equality became the constitutional law of the land, when President Obama gave that incredible speech. Did you know that you were creating kind of a historic nonprofit in the Healing Circle?
You know what? It was no, because it was the most natural thing in the world for people to come together. That's what we needed. I went to other groups and I just felt like that was the kind of work that I wanted to do. I wanted to create a safe place. And that is another version of that work that I'm doing right now is with Honoring Our Experience, and I feel really grateful to be working with Shanti, one of the oldest and most amazing and beloved HIV organization in town, and now we do HIV and cancer services, and we're doing Honoring Our Experience, which the focus is bringing long-term survivors together. And there's something that is unique about people, both HIV negative and HIV positive people that live through the epidemic, this unique and profound experience of having lived through something so incredibly traumatic. Nobody else can understand it, and bringing them together to come together to literally share their stories, be witnessed, but also to share the wisdom gained. It was a noble response our community launched with the epidemic. It was a noble, courageous, amazing response at our community.
Well, I thank you for your noble and courageous response. It's been, I can't believe I haven't had you on the show before, but we're going to have you back talking about this, hopefully in 25 years.
Thank you.
Thank you. We've been speaking with Gregg Cassin about his ongoing work with Shanti and the Healing Circle. Next up, we meet Florencia Monaville, lesbian filmmaker. We'll be right back.